Hi there, I'm going to make some banana bread today. My banana bread recipe is a little bit more like a banana cake recipe. It's nice and moist, so it's still quite dense, but it's not sort of as bread-like, more cake-like. It works well if you do it in a loaf pan, like banana bread, or if you want to do it in muffin form or even in a cake. It does actually work really well for all of those. First thing I do is it takes a cup of mashed bananas per recipe, and so depending on the size of your bananas and how far along they've sort of turned brown, depends on how many you'll need. So I tend to mash up my bananas first and see how many cups I get, and then that determines whether I'm going to do one recipe or whether I'm going to double my recipe. So the way that I do this, I just thought I'd show you, is I find if I try and mash it up in a bowl or in the actual measuring cup, it sort of squishes up the side and it makes it a little bit harder. So on a flat plate, I find it really easy to just use a fork, that's all this is, and just go along and squish it like that, and then you just scrape that into your measuring cup. Now normally 1 cup is about two mashed bananas, but again it really sort of depends on how ripe. So this is, you can obviously see what my bananas look like. So when they get to that point, it is time for me to make some banana bread. So I've done 2 just to see how we're going. There we go. And if you have a look, that is about a cup of mashed bananas. And so I obviously have 2 more bananas here that need to be used up. So I will double my recipe and mash these up for 2 cups of bananas, and I will just double my recipe. So I'm going to go ahead and mash these up and pop them into my measuring cup. And there we are, so 2 cups of mashed bananas, so I will make 2 recipes. So I'll get the rest of the stuff set up and come back and we'll start making some banana bread. Okay, so I've mashed up my bananas for my banana bread, and I'm just going to run through all my ingredients quickly. So we've got some eggs. This recipe uses buttermilk, which also keeps it nice and moist. A bit of salt, some vanilla, that's my mashed bananas. Then we've got some soda, we've got some flour, vegetable shortening, and then just some regular granulated sugar. So those are all my ingredients that are going into my banana bread. I'll get that all set up and we'll start making the cake. Right, so we're going to start making our banana bread cake. I have decided to make these into some muffin sizes, so you can just see my muffin pans in the background here. I will pull those forward obviously when we need them. That is my oven just telling me that it's been preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius. So because we measured out 2 cups worth of bananas, that's going to be double the recipe that I normally do. So I will post the normal recipe below, but for obviously this one I'm going to double it. So in here we've got 1 cup of vegetable shortening, and to that I'm going to add 3 cups of sugar. So this is where it's slightly more cake-like than bread-like. There's quite a bit of sugar in it. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And for this recipe, I'm going to use the paddle attachment with the silicone edge on the side of it, the little scraper, so that as it goes around, it scrapes the side of the bowl for me. So we'll just bring that up to there and turn that on slowly and cream our butter, our shortening, and our sugar together. Alright, and then I need to add in my eggs. So we've got 4 eggs. We're going to add them in one at a time. So that's 1. that going. There's 2. Again. We'll just turn that up a bit. All right, so that's all incorporated. We're going to add in all of our banana. So that's our 2 cups of banana. And then we're also going to add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So that's 1, and that's 2. And then we'll mix that in. There we go. And so now we need to mix in our flour and our buttermilk. And so into a bowl, I've got 3 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So I've already got that pre-mixed into a bowl. And then our buttermilk, we've got 1 cup of buttermilk that we're going to be adding into that as well. I really like using buttermilk in recipes because it seems to keep everything nice and moist. Buttermilk's great. If you don't happen to have buttermilk, I have used yogurt as well, and that works, or you can just use milk and it will still turn out all right as well, just not quite as moist. So we're going to start by adding some of the flour mixture first. So I'm just going to dump some of that in there. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. And then we're just going to bring the bowl back up and just mix that in on a low speed. Going to add in half our buttermilk. There we go. And I'm going to lower that again to add in another 1/3 of my flour. And there we go. Bring that up. Put in the rest of our buttermilk. And then stop that and add in the last 1/3 of our flour. There we go. Bring that back up. I'll just turn it up a little bit. Excellent, so that's our batter done, and I will just get the cupcake trays organized, and we'll come back and pop them in there and then into the oven. Right, so I am going to make some cupcake or muffins. They're going to be more like a banana muffin. I'm not going to frost them or anything, but I'm going to make them into a nice easy shape to eat. They're also easy to store. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill all of my little cups. I'm just using a quarter cup measure, which is actually already making a mess. However, it does mean that I have approximately the same amount of batter in each one, so they will bake evenly for me. So I'm going to go ahead and fill all of those. If you notice, I am filling them quite full because I do want them to rise and make a nice big muffin, especially as I'm not going to be icing them. So let me finish that and then we'll pop them into the oven. There you go. So as you can see, this makes a very generously filled 24 muffin pan. These are just a regular standard size. And as I said before, you can put it into a loaf pan, you can put it into cake pans, and by all means you can ice it. I've used a cream cheese icing on it and a chocolate cream cheese icing on it, which both work really well with the banana flavor. But again, feel free to experiment. So I'll pop these into the oven for probably about 15 minutes, and then I will check on them and turn them around so that they're evenly heated in the oven, and I will show you when they're finished. So these are my finished banana muffins. Very yummy, still a little too warm to eat, so I'll let them cool down a little bit before I have one. But thanks for watching, and I hope you give them a go and enjoy them a lot. If you've got any questions, please post them below. I will post the recipe below as well. And if you did enjoy watching my video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see what else I'm up to.